What if I set up this week's national interest by saying to you that Modi Shah BJP government is not a right-wing government? Everybody says right-wing, 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 RW all the time. It is not a right-wing government. But if I said that it's a government of the Hindu left instead, so what will be your first reaction? Chances are your first reaction will be, go get your head examined. You've been drinking too much of the wrong stuff, too much of the strong stuff, maybe not just mulled wine on Christmas Eve, but honest to God, I haven't touched alcohol for more than a week now. So you can't blame it on alcohol. I'm only making a point to you using some data, some facts, and some arguments. And the thought process started when Neelam Pandey, a senior colleague from my political bureau, she and I were hosting Prashant Kishore, who everybody calls a political strategist. We also described as political strategist, although he prefers to be called instead a political aide. So by whatever name you call him, he was our guest on the print OTC off the cuff, and we asked him, what is your ideology? And that's how this thought process started. So we asked him, so Prashant Kishore, what is your ideology? Are you ideology agnostic? Because after all, you work with everybody. You work with Narendra Modi, you work with Congress party in UP and SP, you work with Mamata Banerjee, YS Jagan Mohan Reddy, Amrinder Singh. Who have you not worked with, right? So, which means you can work with anybody. Today, each time you want your person to win, the side you are on to win, and the side you are not on to be defeated, irrespective of the fact that you could have been with that side in the past and might end up with that side in the future. That means you have no ideology, you are ideology agnostic. So we asked him upfront, do you have an ideology? Doesn't that follow from the fact that you worked with so-and-so, 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 so-and-so? So see what his answer was. We thought that he would balk. And he would say, no, I don't have an ideology. Why do you confuse things? What's ideology? He didn't say that. To our surprise, he said immediately, no, I'm not ideology agnostic. You can call me left of center. Left of center? And then he went on to say that he was actually a follower of Mahatma Gandhi and he said, look, see Mahatma Gandhi, he could be left on many things, including on the economy, etc., distributive justice, but at the same time, he was a devout Hindu. He believed in Hinduism and he believed in religion. So I am center left in a Gandhian sense, and so on. And I noticed later, incidentally, that Prashant Kishore's Twitter bio begins with the words "Revere Gandhi." I don't know if that's come in only recently or that's always been there. Now his claim to a center-left ideology set us thinking. What if we ask any of the other key political leaders the same question today? What is your ideology? Rahul and Priyanka Gandhi, Mamata Banerjee, Andhra's Jagan, Tamil Nadu's Stalin, Telangana's KCR, Uddhav Thackeray, anybody, and so on. If any of these chooses to answer that question, although these days nobody answers questions, if anybody did, the answer, honest or not, will be about the same, center-left. Everyone in Indian politics now wades in the waters of varying depth somewhere on the left side of the pool. Nobody will say, I stand on the right. Not even forces which are today described as forces of the Hindu right. Which brings us to the trick question. What would Narendra Modi's answer be? We are, of course, making a brave and far-out presumption that he lets us or anybody ask him such a direct question. Now suppose I asked you that as a trick question, that if you asked Narendra Modi, what's your ideology, Prime Minister, sir? What will his answer be? Now whether you are a fan or a critic, chances are that your immediate response will be, of course he'll say, I am right-wing. Now over the past 7 years since the Modi Shah BJP has been in power, right-wing has become a widely accepted usage for it, not just on social media, but also in serious commentary in many places, for them as well as for the ideological forces behind the party. Now, we need to examine, and that's what we do in this week's National Interest, if it passes the test of facts. So, fasten seatbelts, because I will then make the case to you that What Modi and his BJP represent today is not a domineering national force of the Hindu right. Not a domineering national force of the Hindu right. It is, on the other hand, a force of the Hindu left. Now, what do I mean? See, first of all, the left-right descriptors over time have become mixed up and confusing. In governance terms, the right means, first of all, social conservatism, strong religiosity, hard nationalism, low threshold for criticism, and authoritarian outlook. Trump, Bolsonaro, any of these people you can check out. On all these parameters, Modi government and today's BJP passed the test of being right-wing, no doubt about that. The reason I qualify it here is that we do not get caught in simplistic binaries. On all of these issues, this BJP and Modi are no different, say, from the Republicans in the US or British conservatives. Now then, we enter some contentious zones. How do we then come to our argument that the Modi Shah Yogi BJP is not a force of the pure right or even the Hindu right, but of the Hindu left? Are we just trying to shock you? No. Check out the many steps the Modi government has taken on the economy in the past 7+ years. For historical reference, look back at the previous BJP government under Atal Bihari Vajpayee. It made its commitment to getting the government out of business explicit and set up a Ministry of Disinvestment in the central government. When the party returned to power in 2014, you would have expected it to bring that ministry back. No such thing happened, though now there is a department of Deepam in the finance ministry with a full secretary, but not a ministry of disinvestment. It is only now that there is some heady talk of disinvestment, but not much has been achieved. In fact, from this year's targets, only 5% has been achieved as yet. With the sterling exception, I would say, of Air India, which is not a very big company, but which is a very visible company. So symbolically, the sale of Air India to a genuine private sector buyer is a fantastic thing and a big step forward. But that is the only one right now. Much other privatization is still merely talk or sleight of hand, as in getting one public sector giant acquiring a smaller one, and the government as the majority shareholders cashing out to balance its deficit. But it is, as we said, in an earlier national interest, like genius Milo Minder Bender of Joseph Heller's Catch-22, trading with himself and making a profit, of course, using the state's products and goods and the state's cash as well, right? So that's what Modi government has been doing. This gets worse, in fact, with the usual sleight of hand. Think of the LIC or even the ONGC being made to buy another PSU that government wants to, quote unquote, disinvest from. A bunch of money is then paid out to the government. Our complaint isn't that this money then disappears into the bottomless pit called the Consolidated Fund of India. If you believed in market economy, you would have no complaint if the LIC or ONGC paid out dividends from its profits to its only or overwhelming shareholder, the government. But when the government makes them buy assets from it, that's Milo Minder Bender. These companies are not necessarily then acting in the best interest of the policyholder or the minority shareholder. We are not saying that it always works out to their detriment, that is, minority shareholders and policyholders. But the fact is that these are not decisions that these companies' boards are taking with these non-Sarkari shareholders' interests at the top of their minds. This is a characteristic of the economic left, not of the right. The left is also known for handout economics, large, ambitious welfare schemes involving redistribution of large chunks of revenues, which is precisely what Modi government has been doing. From Manrega that it inherited from UPA to Gram Awas Yojana, toilet building, Ujjwala, direct cash transfers to farmers and the poor, free grain and so on. Have you noticed, in fact, how muted the opposition criticism of this government's budgets has been? It's quite remarkable. There is some usual sniggering, of course, about being pro-rich, suit boot, etc. But everybody also notices that is taxes on individuals in the highest income bracket. Those are 44%, about 44%, highest since reform began. Add to that an average of 18% or so average GST on goods and services that people, especially the rich who pay this kind of taxes, consume. The left would applaud this. Of course, they'd want it to be even higher, isn't it? Hopefully, not the 97% it was in Indira Gandhi's socialist peak years when the foundations of the black economy were laid. And expanding large MIBAP, that's mom and dad, and expanding large MIBAP, mom and dad government is something the leftists love. See the expansion of our government in the Modi era. More and more bhavans have come up in Delhi to accommodate a burgeoning government. Now, the new Central Vista will create space for more. A comparison again with Vajpayee government. He had no hesitation selling the loss-making Lodi Hotel in the heart of Delhi. Yet, an even bigger PSU dud hotel was Hotel Janpath, which instead of being sold has now become another set of offices and government accommodation. So it's been absorbed in the government. Samrat Hotel next to Ashoka ceased to be a hotel a long time ago because it was just losing too much money and nobody would want to stay there. It has now become a Sarkari Bhavan too. In fact, almost everybody here will be surprised. Most of you will be surprised when I even tell you that India has a Lokpal. Remember that big movement for Lokpal? India did indeed appoint a Lokpal. Now, did you remember that we had appointed one? And if so, let me ask you a trick question. Unlikely that you will have the answer unless you are preparing for UPSC. What's his name? What's the name of our Lokpal? Now, he's also been given half a floor in that new Bhavan, which is Samrat Hotel. Now, our taxes today are higher than in a generation. Our government is bigger than in 2 generations. Our welfareism is 4 times the size that we have seen it to be in our generation. We privatize our companies often by selling one PSU to another, one to the other. That is taking money out of one pocket and putting in the other. Now our government also decides for all of the country, all of us, which COVID vaccine to have, when, whether to be allowed boosters or not, and what can be sold in India, which vaccine can be sold in India. Now in a genuinely free market, there will be shops and buyers for Covaxin, Covishield, Sputnik, Pfizer, Moderna, and you could choose which one do you want and what price do you want to pay. After all, as with cars, consumers can choose a Maruti or a Mercedes, but not vaccines. Of course, question of equity, government can decide which ones they will hand out free, right? But let the market function. But why not? Because ours is a MIBAP Sarkar. Ours is not a Sarkar of the economic right in any way. And I repeat here, it is in no way a government of the economic right. The right is limited to religion and nationalism and of course to how you respond to your critics. The rest is as left as the Congress, if not more. In fact, as left as the Congress or any other, if not more. That is the reason we call Modi BJP ideology as ideology of the Hindu left, not right wing.